Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, episode 159. I'm your host, Jacob Rush, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Ryan Black and Joshua Taylor. We are back, and we are playing with power. Gentlemen, great to be back with all of you. How are you doing?
You know, I'm staying alive. I'm healing from the dog bite to the face, and I'm good.
I'm staying alive as well.
Good, guys. Having a good week in general?
I think so,
weather,
yeah.
What's the weather like out there, Josh?
Not very exciting. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, really.
Yeah, it's been very 50 degrees and rainy here, and then it dropped down to 30 degrees today, so it was cold, and it's supposed to warm back up. It makes no sense. It's supposed to be ice and snow right now, and it feels like April.
I got to take a good walk today. It was awesome. Get the dog out. Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I don't care. I like the winter, so I kind of am a little sad that it doesn't feel like winter right now. But
oh yeah, I'm enjoying the weather, but at the same time, this is just wrong. It should be snowing.
Absolutely, I'm totally with you on that, Ryan. So Ryan,
yes. So we have a special guest on today. It is a newly elected Nintendo dad, and so it's the mitten mapping, rock and rye drinking Michigander, Timothy Aulph. Welcome, Tim.
I love it. That was awesome. Thank you. And thank you for saying Michigander and not from Minnesota like Mario always does to me. Nothing wrong with Minnesota, but you can only take it so much when you're
right.
He likes to tease me about that. But hey, you guys are talking about snow. I mean, we don't get a lot up here, but we do have the cold still. It's still when everybody else was warming up, we were still 30s. I think we did kind of peak a little bit up there in the upper 40s when everybody else was in the 50s and 70s, I guess, over on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But we did drop pretty quickly, and then it was raining a lot, but thankfully it wasn't snowing. And then by the time the rain started dropping off, it turned into flurries. So we got a little bit of snow.
Isn't that like
far north?
Like a foot of rain. What is it? Like an inch of rain is a foot of snow? Isn't that what the measurement is or something like that?
Oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, I think that kind of makes sense. I think I remember hearing something about that. Yeah. Yeah, we would have had a ton of snow if it was snow.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, my goodness, why can't this be snow? Makes me sad. Close everything down. But
I think some point there's going to be a makeup snowstorm or two. So we'll get it.
Once it's supposed to be warm out and people are putting their shorts on again, and then it's just gonna dogpile on. That's how
it's gonna be really
July 4th, snowstorms.
It's gonna be really easy to find those Easter eggs in the white snow.
Oh man, absolutely. Well, guys, I'm so glad that we're all here. Tim, so glad to have you back on the show, buddy. It's been too long. I've been gone too long too, so I'm glad we're all here, and it's we're gonna have a good time tonight. So obviously, we got to get to what we normally do, and that is what we've been radical rexing about. Tim, since you're our guest, let's start with you, buddy. What is new and exciting in life?
Well, what's new and exciting is actually a repeat of what's been old and exciting, I guess, if you will. And so what I'll say is that I'm excited again I've always been excited about Nintendo stuff. Obviously, I'm a Nintendo fan, but
right.
I'm reminded of some of the things that my family did back in the GameCube days and the SP or Game Boy Advance days, where we bought into it. We were, my oldest, who's now moved out, but when he was younger, we all, we bought the GameCube, we bought Game Boy Advances, SPs. That's when I got into it with SP when that came out, and kind of goes into what we're going to talk about later. But just the three of us had our own Game Boys, Game Boy Advances, and then also the GameCube with the links and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's really when we were all gaming as a family, and it's happening again because of the Nintendo Switch. My oldest has moved out, like I said, and he's even got his own Switch now. So if he was still home, there would be 5 of us with Switches. But thankfully, with the Switch Lite and even with the regular Switch, and some good deals at the time, we all were able, throughout the 3 years that it's been out, was able to get a Nintendo Switch. So, so it's been really cool. It's been reminding me of those days where we all had our own gaming system, but with the Switch and its capabilities, we can all kind of gather around and play games together, and it's been a blast. That's what I've been Radical Rexing about.
Cool, man. That's exciting.
How about you guys?
I guess I can go. I haven't, since I was kind of a Debbie Downer last week, but this week I've been able to catch up a little bit. I am finally, I've been getting a little bit more further in on Pokemon Shield, and I'm not like Ryan's in love with this game. Like, he thinks it's the greatest Pokemon game ever. I
heard that last time.
He's a little silly. I don't think it's that great. I think it's fine. It's definitely better than Sun and Moon. The fact that I have like 4 or 5 badges now is a great sign. But I'm enjoying working my way through on it. I've marathoned season 5 of Dragon Ball Super, and I'm just basically finished that arc of Goku Black, and I'm in the middle of season 6 now, and that's always good. That show always cracks me up and fills me with hope, and I've been loving that.
You sound like it. You do sound like it from the Donkey Kong one that you guys did. You sound a lot happier.
Oh yeah, I mean, it is Dragon Ball. It's funny because Josh and we have our ongoing text group, and Josh doesn't like anything anime. He doesn't like anything Japanese. Just so you know, he hates it all.
That's not. No.
It bugs me. It bugs me because as much as I love Donkey Kong, I would say I equally love Dragon Ball, and I wish Josh loved Dragon Ball like I did, because I think he's missing out.
He's missing out totally.
Dragon Ball stuff is so different than most Japanese animation. Like, it really is different.
I could believe that. It looks different. I'll say, as a kid, I think I just was determined that I don't know. I was a stupid kid. I was determined that I hated it. Like, the animation is just so off-putting to me, and it still kind of is, like, just in general. But I guess I could see how that one looks more interesting than a lot of other anime that I've seen.
It is, and I think there's a lot more humor in it too. Like, Goku, literally, I mean, it just starts off and you think it's going to be this serious show, and then Goku just does the dumbest stuff, and he's so goofy. I mean, there was this whole scene like where they talked about like kissing. Trunks kissed somebody, and he goes, "What was that?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? You have 3 children. You don't know what kissing is?" And he goes, "I've never done that." I mean, it's really funny. So much to it, and I just makes me crack up. So, I'm enjoying that. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, is Dragon Ball a sport or something? What is this? Is Goku a player? I don't know what this ball dragon thing is. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's an Indiana thing.
Guys, that's why I've been Radical Rexing about, but I'm going to pass it off. I got to go answer a phone call real quick, okay?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
So, as far as what I have been Radical Rexing about, Pokemon and more Pokemon, I was like, oh yeah, I'm really feeling this like when I was a kid again, playing Pokemon. It feels just like I didn't get that experience at all with Sun and Moon. But I got a little bit of that with X and Y, but this one's really hitting home for me. I can't tell you exactly why, but they hit some parts that I've always wanted to see in a Pokemon game, and there's a story progression part with Team Yell, and I'm still like I just finished the gyms, so I'm getting ready to go do whatever is beyond collecting all the badges. But before you get to that point, there's this gym that you come across. It's just so cool. Like I love the idea of it and the setting, and I was like really like, yes, I've always wanted a gym like this. And now like they did it so well, and they did it justice to what it was. So I was really excited about that. No spoilers there, but I was so happy. And like I came across an ice gym, and I really enjoyed the battles that I had there, and I love the stadium setting, and I feel like, yeah, this is just right. It's the right kind of thing, and I'm able to collect so much from the beginning through surprise trade and just catching things in the wild area, and it's just I love it, and it really sings to my like collecting every Pokemon thing, and I'm having a blast. I've got about 318 Pokemon caught now, I think. So I'm getting up there and having a blast with it.
Yeah, I got the whole family got it from Santa as a family gift. We each got our own copy of Pokemon. I got Shield, my wife got Sword, and my youngest son and daughter, they got Sword and Shield. So my daughter beat the game within the Christmas break. So but I didn't have a chance to do that. I started playing it, and I was having a lot of fun with it too. I only got as far as the first city. I didn't beat any gyms yet. But just out into the wild area for the first time, before I walk into the city, and then that's where I left it before going back to it. But yeah, I'm hoping to jump back into it. I got a review out of the way, and then I also got to play some of this game that we were about to talk about too. So I got those things out of the way. So hopefully I can get back into Pokemon.
Josh.
So I'm in a bit of a weird vein right now. So Star Wars I've loved since like as far back as I can remember. So I guess with the movie and everything, and the Jedi Fallen Order that I've been playing a ton of has kind of got me into it. So I've been playing a lot of that stuff. I went back and finished Clone Wars, the cartoon, because I never did finish it for some reason, and it's actually really good. Excuse me. And outside of that, I got Pokemon for Christmas, Shield, and my wife got Sword. So awesome. We've been poking around at that. I've got about 5 badges right now, and I've really been enjoying it. I didn't pick up Pokemon a whole lot until, for whatever reason, I've always loved Nintendo, but Pokemon I was kind of behind on, but until like the 3DS. But yeah, I really like it. Yeah, there's like some imperfections I feel like they could have really put a little more into with what they've got to work with. But I mean, it's fun enough that I don't really feel like I notice it. I only see it because I feel like Twitter's pointed it out so much, or whatever it was. Besides that, on sale, I grabbed The Witcher 3 on the Xbox version because it was like $12 on there. So I've been trying that out.
Nice.
And that's been a good change of pace for me.
I'm with you on the Jedi Fallen Order too. I've been playing it. Marty's been playing it. Loving the game. Right. Again, I haven't had a chance to jump back into it because I've been taking on too many games at one time. But I do want to focus on that one too. So I want to finish that one myself.
I've beat it. And the end of the story was pretty awesome. I won't say anything about it, but just the last whole boss fight kind of deal that all led. But I've just been going back. I was like, there's not a whole lot of reason to go back. There's things to collect and things like that, but it's no real big deal. But yet I still find myself like finding reasons to go back and just be like, all right, I want to go back and get all this or all the flowers or whatever it was.
Right.
I'm just making stuff up to do just to play it. It's a lot of fun the more moves and things you get.
Right. Yeah, I even told the guys, the Nintendo dads, I told them that I would love it as I predicted like a crazy wild card prediction for 2020, and I said that they would bring out Jedi Fallen Order for the Switch later on this year. Mm-hmm. That was my wild, call, but probably most likely not going to happen. But I said I would totally double dip if they did. Mm-hmm. I would totally buy it again. Yes.
It has a few technical issues I've noticed on the Xbox. I don't know do you have the Xbox version or do you have
PS4 version, but it's still some things I noticed too on that.
Yeah, I can overlook it, but I guess I've played a lot of first-party Nintendo games in my time. I think I'm a little bit spoiled, so I know some things get a little glitchy. I don't let it ruin the experience for me, but there is a little bit of pop in and things like that. But besides that, I mean, the game's perfectly fine.
Yep.
Yeah, Star Wars is quite awesome, and I think we should have more Star Wars games on the Switch besides, the pinball game and the Jedi Outcast.
Yeah. Bring back the Rogue Squadron series. That would be nice.
Can you imagine
a trilogy?
See like some kind of like collection or something coming to the Switch. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we got Doom 64 and Turok. Just waiting for that next move, right? Wouldn't that be something at E3 if they dropped that bomb? That'd be awesome.
My vote's for Star Wars Demolition.
Oh boy.
That or Yoda stories. But
I'm back.
Welcome back, Jacob. Hey, just in time for the topic.
Yeah, I had an emergency phone call. I had to grab through my phone there, so. Awesome. But I'm back. Well,
I got the everything's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Everything's good. Everything is good. So so we're ready for the topic, huh?
Yeah. What is it?
All right. Yeah. So obviously Tim is with us today. It's not like Game Boy month, I swear, but it's another Game Boy game that we are bringing to the table. And to be fair, it originally was a Nintendo home console game first, but remade into an awesome GBA game. So tonight we're talking all about Metroid Zero Mission. Tim, when did Metroid Zero Mission originally come out?
Zero Mission came out in February 9th, 2004. And it came out actually about a few months before Prime 2 came out, actually. Metroid Prime 2.
Really? Wow.
Yep. Yes. That came out November 15th, 2004.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. That's nuts, dude. I mean, so we got just the year before we got Fusion and Prime 1, and then a year later we get Prime 2 and...
A couple of years before. It was a couple of years before. But I guess about probably a year and a half, I guess, if you want to... Yeah, because it was November 18th, 2002, for Fusion and Prime.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Big Metroid time, I guess.
Oh, man, we were getting... Just like how we talked about Donkey Kong games coming out last week, year after year, Metroid in the early 2000s, middle 2000s, that's what we were getting Metroid games constantly.
Oh yeah.
And it was,
it
was a glorious time. And then it's well, I don't know why Nintendo does this to us. They make me a huge fan of something, and it's as soon as I get all invested, then they just stop. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think it's punishment, actually. They're like, oh, you didn't like Other M? Well, okay. We'll just stop making them.
In Federation Force.
Yeah, here's Federation Force.
Apparently no one likes the series.
Hey, shout out to
Federation Force.
Shout out to the Nintendo Land Metroid game. That was fun.
Yeah.
That wasn't a real Metroid game, Ryan.
But it was fun.
It doesn't count.
It was definitely
fun, but it doesn't count as a legit Metroid game.
It's the secret Metroid game.
I did like Federation Force too, Jacob.
I like Federation Force. I think
So did I.
I always swear to this day that if Metroid Prime Federation Force came after a new Metroid Prime game or a new mainline Metroid game, it would have sold way better and people would not have hated it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it should have been on a home console, being multiplayer focused. I never understood putting multiplayer focused games on a handheld on 3DS.
Yeah,
right.
I guess that worked for some people, but I couldn't play with anybody, like my wife or friends or anything like that, unless they had a 3DS.
I felt like the online infrastructure worked a little better than the Wii U did. In some ways. So
That's not
maybe
saying
that's
a
why.
whole lot.
True.
Maybe that's going to be the 3DS game they poured over to the Switch. You never know.
Right.
So with Zero Mission, we got to revisit a classic with a new skin. It's one of the early remakes of a game in a way, like an I guess HD remake you could kind of say, and that bonus content you get to play through the story of the original Metroid, but you got to do so much and see some more backstory in the Metroid universe. This did a lot to expand a lot of Samus's history, growing up with the Chozo and everything, and kind of showed how the power suit was bestowed upon her and what it's like to be her outside of the suit. I don't know if they've done that before, aside from you die and you could see her or you get the best ending of a game. So right. They did some big things in this game to push the history of Metroid, to bring things to light and to give us a good experience. And it wasn't just I was apprehensive at first, thinking it's just Metroid, the original Metroid again, just better graphics. I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but it was more akin to Zero, or more akin to Fusion in a lot of ways, but then it did stuff better even still.
Well, what's people's original memories with the game? I mean, Tim, we can start with you. Where were you when you first got this game?
So let me give a little history, and I know you guys. I think you mentioned that you guys talked about this before, and for some odd reason I missed it. But Fusion obviously came out at the same time as Prime, as we mentioned, right? They came out in 2002 around the same time, and that's when, believe it or not, those two games are the reason why I got into Metroid. It wasn't the first game. I tried and tried and tried to get into the first game, the original Metroid game.
That's hard.
And could not. I had Metroid 2 for the Game Boy.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did have that, and I played that, but I didn't finish that one. It didn't. What got me into the whole I want to know more about Metroid was Prime and Fusion, especially Fusion because it was portable. And then 2 years later, when they came out with Zero Mission, which was a remix, or not a remix, but a remaster, I will say, of Metroid, I was like, okay, I can play the original game, but with better graphics, so Super Metroid graphics. So super excited to get that one, especially jumping into Fusion and playing Prime. And then, if I remember correctly, I did pre-order or at least go buy it day one, February 9th, 2004, Zero Mission, so I could play it on the SP. And I just ate that game up, I think, in the weekend. And it was, at that time, it was a little bit easier to do that, but it is only, I think, how long to play has it listed as 5.5 hours or something like
short.
That.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too short.
Right. But for me, it's also the reason why between Metroid games and Zelda games, those two games are the reason why I have to search every nook and cranny of a game, and it takes me a lot longer probably than most other people will take to finish a game. Because even for example, Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm still playing that, still trying to beat that. But because I go through every nook and cranny, I'm looking in every corner, sucking up every cobweb,
I get it.
Doing everything in the game to see if I can find any secrets,
I'm the same way.
But that I blame it on Metroid and Zelda, because Zelda, of course, throwing bombs at the cracks in the walls or trying to find the secret ones, or Zero Mission. For example, I was watching recently, because we were talking about doing this, I watched somebody do a speed run of Zero Mission.
Oh wow!
And it was amazing to see them use Samus, how you would think Samus, the bounty hunter, would be if it was real life or whatever, not taking her time to go through all this stuff. But this person was just dashing through everywhere once they got the dash, and flying through the air and
That's nuts.
hopping up using bombs. Like, oh, I didn't know you could do that when I was watching that. Like going in areas you couldn't reach unless you had like the ability to do that. So it was really cool to see that. And then, but going back to the secret area thing, is that how when I was watching that, I was like, oh, I didn't know that secret thing was there. Even when I remember playing it, I don't remember that. So, so it was really cool to, to see that. And then also I remember having a lot of fun trying to find those secret areas, but just getting into the story, especially the cutscenes, seeing the animation, kind of like the comic book animation in a way, was really cool to watch. And even some of the tech involved too, where they implemented the easy sleep feature, where you just select, where you just go into the menu and you hit start, L, and yes to activate easy sleep. And then when you wanted to come out, so you could put your SP to sleep, if you will, because that's what I played mine on. You clamshell it. It didn't automatically know you closed it, so you had to tell it you were closing it. Battery lasts a long time. And then you just open it back up, hit select left, right to exit that, go back into the menu and start playing again right where you left off. So as long as you didn't forget about it and lose your batteries, or the power didn't go out, you were able to continue without a save point, which I thought was pretty cool too. So.
Yeah. Wow. Ryan, what about you?
I remember being really excited, but again, apprehensive, because it was like, well, what am I going to do in this game? Because I played the first Metroid, like, okay. But then, like, it did have that fusion look. And I'm like, you know what? I might actually enjoy this. I got super hyped as it was coming closer.
I'm honestly a little surprised that you say you weren't excited for it originally. I think he's frozen, isn't he?
I think we lost him. Yeah.
Good. That's what he gets for saying that. Well, we can come back to him. Josh, what about you, buddy?
Well, my experience with it is a little bit different. For whatever reason, I was behind on this one. That seemed to happen with handheld games for me. So this one I didn't play until the Wii U Virtual Console. But when it came out since then, I've probably went through it, I think, 2 or 3 times. And I've loved it. It became one of my favorite 2D ones. I'm not good at picking like favorites, but it's kind of easier than a lot of the others. But I kind of like that it is, because I can just sit down and be like, hey, I'm going to play through this again. And it's not like a big hassle or anything. But yeah, and it wasn't a handheld experience either. I had it up on the TV, and it actually looks pretty good.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah, it really does look fairly good on there. There's little filters and things you can do to make it look how you want. But I really enjoy it. It guides you along a little bit more than the original does. But again, I kind of like that it did. Just so I didn't feel like there was as much wasted time. And I don't know. I guess it's old enough to get into spoilers, but I remember getting to the extra section, so to speak, when it looks like it's the ending of the first game again, and then you crash land and you're Zero Suit Samus. And I just thought that was like awesome, because somehow I'd missed this game for that many years, and I didn't expect that at all. So none of that spoiled for me. Sorry if I just spoiled that for someone else, but
the whole game.
Still not spoiled because they got to experience it. You're just talking about it. They still
and then you get her suit back, and it is like super powered, and you just get to blast through like all of these guys you just snuck past, like just no nonsense, and it was awesome. So I really like it. I wish I would have experienced it back when it came out, but I kind of like the way I experienced, years later in a different way.
Right.
Ryan, you got cut off, Ryan, in the middle of it all. I was saying I'm honestly a little surprised that you thought that this game, for as big of a Metroid fan as you are, that you didn't even initially get excited for this game. I find that a little offensive as a Metroid fan.
I didn't know if I'd like the idea of going back and playing an older game and something that I already knew. But it it got me enough interested that by the time it was about to come out, I got really excited for it. I even got the cardboard stand. I think I might have gotten you one too. I want to say.
Probably.
You know, it had the cover art with Samus like swinging the arm cannon down and a downward arc, and it's so cool. It's kind of a 3D cardboard diorama thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you know, it didn't compare necessarily to Fusion. I really enjoyed what they did in Fusion, but I felt like it was just an extension of Fusion in a lot of ways. You know, I really, really enjoyed the detail they put into the game. They improved on the Fusion formula ever so slightly. Not enough to make it like an amazing game. Like, it didn't continue the story, but it was a rehab story.
Yeah.
They keep it fresh, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Very, very happy to see they were able to pull that off and surprise me. And I was so happy about all of that. Good.
Well, I remember being really stoked about it. I'm pretty sure I got it at launch, actually, and I or close to it at least. I was excited because I couldn't beat the old Metroid game. Like, I had through Fusion and Prime, there was a way you could get the original Metroid game.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I remember that was really being my attempt at the original Metroid. And I wanted to beat it. I wanted to say, yeah, I'd beaten it. Now, to this day, I have beaten it since the classics have come out and we have save states. I did beat it a few years ago, the original, but back then I couldn't beat it. And so when this one was coming out, I was very excited that I could actually get to experience the original story. With modern controls and modern graphics and music, and that really excited me to do it. So I loved it. I remember actually going to Brad Hunsinger's house. Brad Hunsinger had the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy TV. Remember how you could hook it up, the Super Nintendo one, to play Game Boy games on your TV? Well, there's a Game Boy Advance one, and on the Game Boy Advance one, I remember playing specifically the section where you go that's not in the original game, and you have to fight that giant fat caterpillar moth bug. And I remember playing it at Brad's house and just experiencing that for the first time. And it was really freaky because I didn't expect that, because I knew that was not in the original game. That was something new they added in for this game. But he was scary. He was a little scary to me. Now I can also recall, though, when I actually beat the game, I went through all of that section with Zero Suit Samus. I was on my way to Ryan's house. Ryan was still in school, in high school, and his mom came and picked me up. And back then, I feel like our parents we were considered long distance. In reality, it was just 25 minutes southwest of my house by interstate. But when Ryan and I got to get together, it was such a treat because I lived on the east side and he lived on the south side. So I was really excited to go spend time with Ryan and talk about Metroid specifically, because that's all that was on my brain. And it was Zero Mission. I remember playing this game the whole ride, my Game Boy Advance, the original purple one, on the way down to Ryan's and his mom's van. And I remember just actually being in Ryan's old bedroom, sitting on his bed, just waiting for him to get home from school. And I beat prototype Meta Ridley right there in Ryan's bedroom. And just some fun, again, that's cool nostalgic memories I have with that game. That's where I officially beat Metroid Zero Mission, was in Ryan's bedroom before he got home from school. So good times. Seriously, I really enjoyed the game overall. It was fun. But I mean, let's dive into the game a little bit here. I mean, we've got to talk about it. Yes, it's a remake of the original game, but It starts off just like the original game does, but it looks so much better. It looks and sounds so much better. You're right, Ryan. They drew Metroid Fusion kind of became the staple of what they were going for that 2D Metroid look at this point. And I think they did a top-notch job. The world environment felt very real, felt very fresh, and they killed it. Seriously, they killed it for it being a remake, because I never once got bored or stuck in the game. Like, you know how sometimes like for example, the new Link's Awakening, it's a fun game, it's a good game, it's a beautiful game, but there are things that were not done for it that were not great quality of life improvements. They kept it true, basically every little thing from the Game Boy game in the new game, just with new graphics. Whereas Metroid Zero Mission didn't do that. They made quality of life improvements from the first game, and I think that was very wise and very smart to do. Or it could have easily been like, you could have easily lost interest in this game if it played exactly the same setup as the original one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean, just like the Zelda game, they made it look pretty, but it was still the same beats.
Yes.
A lot of people were surprised at that. So
right. Tim, when you dived into the game, what stood out to you about the game? Was there any? Because you had tried to play the original one, obviously beforehand, and
yes.
What was like the biggest differences to you when you first dove into this game?
How it taught you to play. It was definitely a lot better when it taught you, right from the get-go. Basically, it was, you go get the missile, and it teaches you to use them against the worm monster, with the eye, how to, which was basically. New. And then you get bombs, and then it teaches you by making a bomb to get, making a bomb to get the missile tanks. So it teaches the bomb ball jump, and then it teaches the bombs. I'm reading off my notes, by the way. This is stuff that I was writing down when I was replaying it. Like, it just teaches you very well how to do these things. Like that teaches the bomb ball jump, and then teaches the bombs remove little bugs that were calling you. And I remember them once it happened again. But do you guys remember those little tiny bugs that would hop around? And I was like playing the game, there's a little tiny bugs. I was like, oh, that's cute. That's a little, fun little background thing. But no, once you got more like 3 or more of those little tiny bugs on you, they started giving you damage, and you couldn't do anything, and you had to use the bombs to get them off of you. So it was like, okay, I forgot about that. But it was just those little things in the game, in this game, Zero Mission, the details like that. Even though it's a small screen, you can still see those little tiny bugs, jumping on you and messing with your time in the game. But just teaching you how to use the bombs, how to use the missiles. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Metroid game if once you got those things, you'd have to go back to those areas you were at before to use those new abilities to, go unlock things you might have not been able to unlock before. Right. So it's just how it taught you throughout the game, how you just got a new ability. Well, let's let you use it for the first time to get an extra missile container or extra energy container, so that's what stood out to me at the time replaying it. At the time playing it in 2004, it was again the ability to all the what do you call it, when they make enhancements to the game, the quality of life enhancements that they did from the original to that. Just that's what stood out to me, because I remember how hard that game was to play originally, right. But it did not even hold my interest at all when I played it. It was interesting aesthetically to look at, and just kind of curious, about this hunter going through and what the purpose of it was, and then hearing either from magazines that I was reading at the time when the first one came out, or friends who beat it tell me how it ended. it sounded cool, but I just didn't hold my interest enough until this game. So just already Nintendo was blowing me away again when I got back into games with the GameCube and the SP and all that, and then playing this, it was just continuing that and just blown away by the little intricacies of the art, more details on Samus, more details in the background or the creatures you were fighting. So definitely those type of things. I'm more the art guy than more of the music guy like you, Jacob. But
I like that you bring up the art. It's a very vibrant color style.
Yes.
And it was heavily modified from the Fusion engine. So it was, but that overlaid art was just so, like, everything popped, and it was really, really pretty. They did a really good job with the color palette that they chose and everything. That's one thing I remember, I think, vividly, is just how much it stood out from Fusion, and how just, it was beautiful.
Heck, that would have been a good 3DS game. Man, they should have remade it again for that. Because there was a lot of depth. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, and then, like, just in the caverns, you could see, like, in the background, and, like, how it was just deep. And no, that would have been really cool.
Remakeception. A remake within a remake within a remake.
I feel like it looked well on the TV when I played it on there with the different colors and the brightness and the backgrounds and things like that. I think it lent itself pretty well to the virtual console on there.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You could play that on the Wii U.
Now that you mention it, I don't even remember doing that because we did have the Game Boy Player for the GameCube.
Yeah, so did
I. But I don't think I even tried that game on that. At least I don't remember. So
I did, and it looked awesome.
I bet it did. That was actually one of my predictions on the Nintendo Dads, was that this year, for trying to get people to renew for Nintendo Online, that they would bring out Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, that'd be cool, dude.
It's probably more of a wild card one again, but I would love that. That's probably more apt to happen than the Star Wars one I predicted.
It's what should happen.
That'd be sweet,
but it probably won't happen.
Yeah,
and it's so historically bad at missing great opportunities.
Interesting fact: through sequence breaking, you could actually beat this game with a 9% completion rating.
Gosh.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
probably that's I think I saw when I did watch that speedrunner go through it. It was just crazy, just totally bypassing
really
things.
skilled. And
then when they were stacking the abilities, some of them would come up as blank or like some funky writing because they weren't supposed to get it right at that point yet. So it was very interesting.
That's insane.
That was a cool
people
mechanic.
Figure that out.
That was a cool mechanic. You'd get items, but they wouldn't necessarily work, or they got translated later, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And it got enabled, like, kind of like latent powers that you unlock.
Yeah, it's the game itself. I'll have to say, talking about the items and collecting real quick, I have to say I do this with every single Metroid game, and I swear I think, like, dude, I am good. Like, I'm collecting all these items. I bet no one found this item that I just found. Like, this is hidden off in the middle of nowhere, little nook and cranny, and I think I'm the bomb diggity. And then I get to the end of the game, and it's like 38% complete. I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't get it.
No.
Yeah.
It just came back to me.
Stuff.
So, at first, I didn't like the idea of playing through the original Metroid again. It wasn't that long ago that I played it. You know, I played it on Metroid Prime. You could unlock it on there.
Animal Crossing.
And so, like, but when I got into it and realized, oh, I'm playing through this, but with the mechanics, like, you know, space jump and, you know, you get
much better.
Got ledge grabbing that you can do. You can actually aim at angles instead of the original NES, which is not that great.
I was going to say that was one of those little things that made it easier. It made it more fun, was just being able to aim and angles. Was something that stuck out in my head. It's like a Mega Man game that you can actually shoot up.
Right.
Like it would actually make it fun. Sorry.
Well, you know what's funny is now that you mention it is when I went back to play it to prepare for this episode, I had to get reconnect to using the D-pad because I've been so used to the Joy-Cons. It's very weird.
Yeah. It's so from the original game, through my Metroid Prime version of the game, the furthest I ever got was the Kraid lair. I never actually beat Kraid or fought him, but I got to his lair. I vividly remember playing that at a New Year's Eve party here at my house with Ryan, when it was just really cool to me that I finally could have a game that was modern and I could re-experience this. I could explore this game now. Like it was, I know it maybe it sounds kind of weak, like modern games aren't as tough as older games, but it really excited me. I felt like I was still beating the game. Like I could say I finally beat Metroid, the original game, because I was able to maneuver through this game. And let's just be honest, like the original Metroid game is difficult because it's got a lot of poor design to it. It's very limited to what it was. I mean,
yeah.
For that time.
You can also look at it like we probably like also the Metroid Zero Mission because we got the map too, right? That was another thing that stood out to me with that map, right? We didn't get the map before, but I heard a few of my friends or people in the magazines that I read also would say, "Oh, I drew out the map." That's probably when a lot of people broke out the graphic paper and drew out their own maps.
Nuts.
That is cool, but I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
right.
So I appreciated the Zero Mission map and just be able to find my way. It looks so cool too.
So nice. Well, I have the map for the original game. I bought one of the books for the classics and I had like a guide for every game in there. Yeah. And when I beat that, I used that guide. Yeah. And there literally are rooms that are just made to be duplicate rooms. Like they're the exact same thing. And there's nothing down at the end of that hallway. They're just there. It's just empty space. Pits for you to go run through and get hit and die. And then there is no save stations back in the day. So like,
right.
It was just seemed like there was a lot of pointless traps to go down in the game, in the original version.
In like Kraid's lair, I think it is. I think that's where it's at. But there's just like these long hallways that are identical, and I always got confused because like you walk in and it looks the same.
I know what you're talking about.
You just go like in a circle, and you can't. I always hated that area.
Big Ben Parliament.
Well, and then Kraid was funny. In the original, like Kraid's like this little dude that's
tiny,
like, not much bigger than you are. It just looks kind of awkward looking back. In Zero Mission, they fixed that.
Yeah,
but
he's much bigger in Zero Mission.
Yeah, you could almost say it was like a maze.
You got to give it credit.
I guess, but it was just confusing.
The best thing of the original Metroid was Kraid Slayer's music. And that even for the NES, like I still love to listen to the OG soundtrack of that. But they did a phenomenal job. They added violin, they added like an orchestra sound to Kraid Slayer. So that was really good. I thought the music they did a really good job at redoing it for this game.
Outstanding music throughout the whole Metroid series. I love the music. So,
oh my gosh, yeah.
At times it can be haunting. At times it can be just just
beautiful,
beautiful and just eclectic at times too. So,
right.
I miss the fact that you could. Actually, no, that game did not have a sound select. I wish it would have had a sound area. I don't think it did.
I think you could unlock one, but I thought you could. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
It's been a while. So, but we can at least we got some of the soundtracks you can get to now. So a little bit easier than it was when we were younger, right?
Oh, for sure. So basically the game's the same. The fight with Mother Brain and Ridley is pretty much the same, and there are some cool like cut scenes. Like if you open up a new area, it would show like Ridley like wake up and like leave his ship or come down to start flying down. That was new. Watching Kraid arise from the ground up, like that was all new. And Mother Brain would like open her eye the closer you got to her, things like that. That was all neat. It was neat to see that. But overall, the fights were the same. I'd say Kraid was definitely the biggest difference. But no, I think let's talk about the ruins real quick. I mean, I think we mentioned that earlier, and I think that was the coolest hook of being like you like that. I think was the biggest selling point to this game. If you wanted to look past it just being a remake, is that there is something after this game that's going to explain a lot more to the lore of Metroid.
Right.
Yeah. And that was cool. That was the extra icing on the cake, the cherry on top type of thing. So yeah, I don't ever shy away from this. Ever since I saw Samus in her Zero suit, she instantly became my video game girlfriend. I've always said that. I think Samus is probably the hottest video game character out there.
Jacob's waifu.
I hate that word.
Yeah, I could use one now, right? Jeez.
Oh boy.
So I've always had a cartoon crush on Samus Aran. And
I don't blame you.
She's very pretty. But going through that whole area was very intimidating, and I loved it. It felt actually very true Metroid feelings, like it was originally designed to feel isolated and alone against aliens. But this time, like, you don't have a power suit; you have a stupid little tase gun, and that's it. And you got to get through there. It was very scary because as soon as they saw you, I'd freak out. My anxiety would rush and be like, oh my gosh, yeah. I got to get out of here. I got to hide, or they're going to chase me down and kill me. And they could kill you pretty darn quick, making it through their big ship and then making it through those ruins. It was very fun to maneuver through. And then like what Josh allured to earlier is that like, once you get to the end, you have to like basically like in a way, like fight yourself with some mysterious ancient ruins force to get back your suit, to like be like worthy to get the suit at full power. And you do that, and then it's like all guns blazing, and you are OP, and everything that you had to be careful and just slowly work your way through, you now get to just run right through as rampaging through it all and killing all those freaking space pirates that gave you a hard time getting there. So it's like sweet revenge.
Yeah. It's a fun reward after sneaking through all of that for a little while, because it's a good challenge to get to that point. Sneaking around, and it's different than the rest of the game. It was a good complete change of pace.
Yeah.
But once you get through it, you get that nice reward, and then I think you get one more boss.
You do.
Yeah.
The very, very end, that's where you fight. And this is cool because this game chronologically takes place before Metroid Prime. So we they were showing that Meta Ridley was already in the works to be created before the Prime games ever happened. And it took place at the start of at the Metroid missions, which I thought was so mind-blowing at the time. I'm like, what? Yep. This is awesome.
Tying it all in together, right?
Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. Meta Ridley he's not entirely a robot, right? He's like organic and robotic, right?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% on that. I think that the prototype that you see in Zero Mission, I believe, was all robotic.
Yes.
My guess is that they were making a mech-like army to back up Ridley. That's just like speculation. But
I felt like the Meta Ridley was for him to heal his body because he got damaged when you originally killed him, or her, Ridley. I don't know. Ridley's a girl, right?
I think Ridley's a guy.
I've always
pretty
thought
sure
Ridley
Ridley's
was
male.
a dude.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ridley is.
I'm looking. I'm trying to see if I can tell.
Amiibo. Good old Amiibo.
I did just look it up. Is the boss at the end of this one is technically Mecha Ridley, and it's just a big robot. It's a robot built by Ridley as a powerful weapon in his own likeness.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's kind of like a prototype. I'm pretty positive that Meta Ridley comes into play as like an organic android-ish to combine with Ridley's body, so his body can heal over time from past battles. Because as the Metroid series improves, he changes with each iteration to get back his full strength body. But no, Mecha Ridley, it was cool to see because it was like laying the groundworks of what we had saw from Meta Ridley, a game that came out before this, but chronologically takes place after this game.
Right. Yep.
But,
and going back to that sound test feature, it is an unlockable thing after you beat or cleared hard mode.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I don't even know if I ever played hard mode, to be honest, on this.
I think that was one of the few ones that I did play through hard mode on. I was trying to unlock a lot of different things in this game.
Yeah, it has a very, because I looked it up on the Metroid.fandom.com, what they call it, the Wikitroid.
Nice.
And it definitely, you clear any mode, you get you unlock the original Metroid in Zero Mission, and then normal mode is completed, you unlocked hard mode. And then when you clear hard mode, you get the sound test. And then if you connected Zero Mission to Metroid Fusion via the Game Boy Advance Game Link cable, it unlocks a gallery showcasing many images of Samus from Metroid Fusion that were only available in the Japanese version of Fusion.
So let me stop there and say, like, how awesome was it that Fusion, pre-DLC stuff, like Fusion was able to get new content from a game that came out later than it. That was pretty cool to connect that and be able to put it. Just simple pictures, but wow, that's cool. Really cool.
That's that stuff I was like talking about at the beginning. Like that stuff blew me away at that time, and then it seems like now Nintendo's kind of going back to a lot of that same stuff again, which I'm looking forward to. So
that's
it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, guys, I mean, really, that's much I feel like I can talk about this game. I mean, overall, it's a great game, and you can find it on the Wii U eShop, and you find it on your old retro stores. I actually have 2 copies of the game because I found my old one after I rebought it, and it's a great game. I mean, I think it's a shame that it's so short. I will say that, way too short of a game. But it's a classic, and it's worth every penny. And if you've not played it, I really think you should. But Tim, you want to tell everybody where they can find you at, buddy?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter at NeoPrime33, or by going to any Nintendo Dad's social media network, and I'll be there as well because I'm a Nintendo Dad. So
that's right. And Ryan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us, buddy?
Sure thing. You can find us at www.nintendovillage.com/Nintendo Nostalgia. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, on our Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN. You can shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to call into the hotline, we still have that open. That number is 317-969-5690. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week. Later, Preston.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.